presenter of the Haccp plan are Aini Sa'adah binti Mat Idris, Amirah Afifah binti Subeki, Amirah Nabilah binti Sarip, Deena Syameelah binti Silahuddin, Nur Syamimi binti Saifuddin.
Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point System is a food safety management system that is known as Haccp. It is a system for identifying, evaluating and controlling food safety issues, and it is also a system that ensures food safety. The system searches for dangers or anything that could go wrong in terms of product safety and then applies controls to ensure that the product does not harm the consumer. Therefore, in order to assure food safety for our product, our company must implement a Haccp system that controls all stages of food manufacturing, from raw materials to processing, storage, distribution and consumer handling.
Company profile. Scooptopia Enterprise is the name of our business. We established in 2021 and our company is located in Shah Alam, Selangor. We are focusing on the production of chocolate ice cream flavor. The vision of our company is we are passionate and striving to be the first choice in Malaysia and be at the top in the ice cream industry in local market, so that we can looking forward to expand our company abroad to the international level. For the mission, we want to create a tasty and high quality flavors that can bring happiness and satisfaction to our customer and making them feel like they are in Wonderland.
As we all know, to produce a successful Haccp plan, it normally requires a team effort. Therefore, in our company's Scooptopia Enterprise, the members of our Haccp team are drawn from all 11 areas of business and from all 11 staff levels. So, our Haccp team is representing by 5 positions, which is led by Aini Sa'adah binti Mat Idris, our Managing Director and as Haccp Advisor. Then, being assisted by Amirah Nabilah binti Sarip, our Quality Assurance and Quality Controller Executive, and also as Haccp Coordinator, and the other 3 Haccp team members are fulfilled by 3 expertise people. They are Amirah Afifah binti Suki as Human Resources Executive, Deena Syameelah binti Silahuddin as Purchasing Executive, and last but not least, Nur Syamimi binti Saifuddin as Production Executive. In short, as part of the team, we must work together and are committed to develop, implement and maintain an effective Haccp system which not only meets legal requirements and codes of practice standards, but the most crucial one is to protect the consumers from harm.
So now, we are at the product description. Our company is producing a frozen dairy product which mainly focusing on the chocolate chip ice cream flavor. In making this chocolate chip ice cream, the raw materials that we use are milk, salt, unsweetened cocoa powder, semi-sweet chocolate, heavy cream, vanilla extract, chocolate chip, and also emulsifier, which is soy lecithin. Most importantly, the milk that we use are from high-quality brands, since it is our main ingredient and it is also included as a food allergen. For the packaging method, we use the food-grade cardboard boxes together with the lid before put it in the corrugated carton. Then, we will make sure that our product is distributed within -23 until -30 degrees Celsius and fully covered to prevent from any cross-contaminations. The shelf life of our product is about 1 to 2 years if it is stay unopened with a proper storage, which is always to keep it frozen at the temperature of -18 degree or colder. For labeling instruction, we have product name, net weight, list of ingredients, nutritional facts, food allergens, company details, manufacturing and expiry date, batch number, and also barcode, so that we can trace our product by using the traceability code such as from manufacturing date and the batch number. Lastly, our product is intended for general public consumption except those with milk allergies, and it is ready to eat.
The process required in producing ice cream chocolate chip. Firstly, we will receive the raw material from our supplier, such as milk, sugar, salt, whipping cream, soy lecithin, unsweetened cocoa powder, chocolate chip, and semi-sweet chocolate. Then weigh and mixing the raw material. But before mixing, the raw materials must undergo QC check from our employee, whether it is approved or rejected. Next, step 3 is homogenization. By homogenizing the mixed material, ice cream can gain a fine and smooth mouthfeel and stable texture. It should be performed under a strict temperature and pressure control environment. After that, pasteurization process for killing of the pathogen. Then we will go to the step 5, which is egging. Egging is ice cream mix is chilled at 4 degrees Celsius and egging at this temperature for about 18 hours. Next, it will go to the freezing process at -5 degrees Celsius. After freezing process, it will go to the packaging and labeling process. The ice cream filled in the plastic bag. Then hardening process, which is after being packaged, the ice cream need to be processed through a certain period of low temperature freezing. Second last step is storage. The ice cream store at -18 degrees Celsius and same goes during the transportation for the last step. There are 6 CCP in this whole process, such as receiving raw material, pasteurization, aging, freezing, packaging and labeling, and storage.
Hazard analysis for raw material and packaging material. First is milk. We have found that there is significant hazard for biological, chemical and physical, and we have identified that this raw material is a sensitive material in aspect of biological and chemical hazard, while physical hazard is not. Second is sugar. We have identified that only biological hazard is the significant hazard, and this raw material is not a sensitive material in biologically, chemically and physically. Third is salt. We found that there is no potential hazard biologically and there is significant hazard in chemical and physical aspect, and we have identified that this raw material is a sensitive material chemically only. Fourth is whipping cream. We have identified that only biological hazard is the significant hazard, and this raw material is sensitive material only in terms of biologically. Fifth is soy lecithin. We have found that only biological is the potential hazard and it is the significant hazard, but we identified that this raw material is not a sensitive material biologically. Okay, sixth is an unsweetened cocoa powder. We have found that the potential hazard is only from physical hazard, but we have identified that there is no significant hazard from the physical aspect, and this raw material is not a sensitive material. Next, number 7 is plastic. We have found that only chemical and physical hazard is the potential hazard and they are significant hazard. But we have identified that this raw material is not a sensitive material in every term of hazard. 8 is chocolate chips. We have found that there is potential hazard from biological, chemical and physical hazard, but the significant hazard is only in biological hazard. And we have identified that this raw material is not a sensitive material. Lastly is semi-sweet chocolate. We have found that the chemical and physical hazard is the potential hazard in this raw material, but only chemical hazard is the significant hazard, and this raw material is a sensitive material in chemically only.
We are at the hazard analysis for process step. The first processing step is receiving of raw materials. For this step, we found that there are 2 significant hazards which are in biological and chemical, so that we conclude that this step is a critical control point. Next, in weighing and mixing process step, we found that there are significant hazards in biological, chemical and physical. Then, is this a critical control point for this process step? So, we identify that this process step is not a critical control point. The next processing step is homogenization. In this step, we have found out that there is a significant hazard in terms of chemical. So, we conclude that this step is not a critical control point at all. For the next process step is pasteurization. In this pasteurization process, there is no significant hazard for chemical and physical, but there is only for biological. So, we identify that this process step is a critical control point. Next, for the aging process, for this process step, we found out that there is a significant hazard in terms of biological only, but not in chemical and physical. So, we conclude that this process step is a critical control point.
Next is the freezing process. In this step, we found that there is a potential hazard that exists under biological and there are no chemical and physical hazard. So, what we found, the significant hazard is only in the biological aspect but not from the chemical and physical. From this, we identified that this process is considered as a critical control point. Then, the packaging and labeling process step. We found that there are significant hazards from biological and chemical aspect, but not from physical aspect. So, we conclude that this process step is a critical control point. So, the next step is the hardening process. For this process step, we found out that there are no significant hazards from biological, chemical and physical aspect. And then, we conclude that this hardening process step is not a critical control point. Okay, for the next process step is storage. So, in this storage process, we found that there are no chemical and physical hazard, but only have biological hazard. So, is this process step a critical control point? Yes, we identify that this process is a critical control point. Then, the last process of chocolate ice cream production is transportation. In this step, we found that there is a potential hazard that exists under biological and there are no chemical and physical hazard. So, what we found, the significant hazard is only in the biological aspect but not from the chemical and physical. However, we have determined and identified that this process step is not a critical control point at all.
Process step where the critical control point was identified. First is receiving raw material. The significant hazard of this step is biological, which is E. coli. They must do inspection on raw material, especially the condition of the mix, every receiving by the receiving personnel. If any raw material is found spoiled, the entire batch is rejected. Second CCP is pasteurization, where significant hazard is salmonella. They should monitoring the time and the temperature using portable thermometer and timer to verify automatic temperature controller, and this action should be done every time by the production operator. If the ice cream mixture doesn't fulfill the critical limits, it must be sent for re-pasteurization once again. Then, the third CCP is again, where is the significant hazard is recontamination. At this process, they must also monitoring the time and the temperature using portable thermometer and timer to verify automatic temperature controller, and this action also should be done every time by the production operator. If the limit is exceeded, the mixture must be discarded or re-pasteurization. The next CCP is freezing, which is the significant hazard is the factory sanitary condition when the chocolate aging process must have cell culture for every batch, and it must be done by hygiene management personnel. Factory structure need to be modified if its design contain major defect. CCP5 is packaging and labeling. Since the significant hazard is allergenic ingredient, the label must match the product formula and require allergen statement by doing visual control every batch and handled by personnel. If ice cream has been packed with any missing instruction, it has to be discarded. Last but not least, the CCP6 is storage. The significant hazard is pathogenic bacteria, so they must monitoring the store temperature using portable thermometer at each storage, and the responsible person is the operator.
Next, we move to overall verification, which our first is review of the HACCP plan, which means HACCP plan should be consistent of all parts, and all the HACCP plan are presented and scientifically correct. All the plan that has been set must be reflect with our current formulation and manufacturing condition, and if there are any changes in our food system, it must be updated as it will affect our product safety. Second is record review. It is the process of verifying the details of record, which is known as record verification. It entails going over and evaluating any data that has been recorded for adequacy and accuracy. It also ensures that records are complete, that the activities recorded in them occur in accordance with our food safety management system. Third is review of corrective action and their solution. Deviation in a CCP could result a possible danger. Therefore, taking the appropriate corrective action is vital. The corrective action should be carried out in accordance with the HACCP plan and identifying the personnel who are accountable for the corrective action and be properly prepared, signed and dated. Fourth is review of critical means. The review is necessary to validate the critical means and ensure that the severe dangers are adequately controlled. Physical, chemical and biological risks must all be monitored to ensure that the reported value is accurate in order to keep the risk at a manageable level. Fifth is direct observation or measurement at a CCP. Monitoring is a systematic series of observation or measurement used to determine whether a critical control point is under control and to create an accurate record for a later verification. Sixth is sample collection and analysis to determine the product meets all the safety standards. Sampling was performed to identify whether our product is contaminated with biological, chemical, or physical substances. Once the sampling is obtained, the product will be classified with related hazard, whether biological, chemical, or physical, and analysis will be conducted. When the sample is accurate, it will determine our product to meet with all the safety standards. Seventh is on-site observation of activities carried out by the responsible employee. Our responsible employee who in charge to do this on-site observation such as monitoring CCP must be acknowledged and have adequate training. Every observation taken by responsible employee tends to have detailed and exact data and information. Lastly is review of modification of the HACCP plan. When there is some changes or modification in our HACCP plan, it means there is changes that have been made. As a result, annual review and modification are required to avoid any negative implication for businesses or our customers.
As we all know, the HACCP system must be constructed on a firm foundation of prerequisite program. So, before our company move to higher levels such as HACCP, we have implemented 2 prerequisite program which can assist us to establish the required environmental and operational condition for the production of safe and wholesome food. The first program is Good Manufacturing Practices, or also known as GMP. With the GMP, we will be able to accomplish higher food production standard in order to meet food safety criteria and consumer demands. Then, the second program is Good Hygiene Practices, or GHP. With the implementation of GHP, which focuses more on good hygiene related practices, we are able to avoid food contamination hazards in our food premises, and we can ensure that the food provided by us is ultimately safe to eat.
As a conclusion, HACCP is the best option in providing the effective hazard prevention system which can ensure food safety and also improving the management throughout the production process, starting from the receiving of raw material until the product distribution. Hence, it surely will enhance the brand reputation and also meet the market needs.